Hi guys, back again. I'm so excited about this whole video thing. It took me a long time to get the nerve to do these videos, and now I'm having such a great time with it. But that is not the topic of conversation today. I wanted to talk about how we get off our self-care track and how we get back on. And I was thinking today how a time in my life when I was really kind of broken and lost, and just kind of lost my whole self with the whole care, and I was sick and financially like broken and like looking for, I was just having a hard time. I felt was really depleted. Like I said, financially and physically, emotionally, it's just thin in all ways. And I do see a connection with our financial well-being and our physical self-care well-being. It's not true for everybody, but it is true for quite a few people. It's true, it happens to me, and it happens to a lot. So don't feel bad if you find yourself in that kind of situation. There's so many options and things to get around the money piece. There's so many home tips and tricks and ways to take care of your body and take care of yourself without spending a lot of money. So that, don't let that be a barrier. So anyway, I was thinking about this time in my life, and it was about, maybe about 12 or 13 years ago. And yeah, you know, empty bank account, empty physically, empty vessel, just feeling really depleted. And I remember having a conversation with a girlfriend who in her own way was kind of feeling the same way. And we decided to be accountability partners, accountability buddies. And we would just check in with each other. I don't remember how often, every week or every couple weeks or maybe once a month or something like that. And we would just kind of keep up with what we said we would do. And so what I said I would do is I would make a list of what my ideal week and what my ideal day, and then so day, week, and month of self-care routine looked like for me. You know, how many times I was cooking for myself and my family, how many times I was walking, how many times I did yoga, how many times all the things, right? So my ideal week, and then day, and then month. And I would actually write it down. I did little tallies, and I would check mark, and I would totally just focus on the positive, not like, oh, I didn't get it all done today, because it's hard to do everything in one day. But you know, notice the positive things, like how many times I did get to go out for a walk, or I did a bonus thing, I went for a bike ride with my daughter, or I did, you know, I only got to one yoga class, or whatever it might be. I just would focus on the positive parts, and that made me a little more accountable. So that was a really good gauge for me to kind of understand where I was at, what I could squeeze in, what I could take out, what I could sacrifice to what I didn't need in order to better help myself, you know, organizing my time a little bit, being a little more efficient. Maybe it was grocery shopping on a day off, and that way I had time to cook throughout the week, or whatever it might be. And I always talk about this with my moms. I mean, it works for every woman, whether they're a mother or not. But if you're feeling stretched thin and you don't know where, but I talk a lot about this with my moms postpartum, whether it's their first child or their multiple children. It seems that like that time to spend on you can be really challenging. And so I'm like, make the list, right? So you've got this spectrum, and your list on this side is all the things that you could do in your perfect week. There's, you know, how many times you're going to yoga, whatever it is, how many times you're cooking, how many times you're walking, how many times you're taking a bath, how many times, all that stuff. And then, so that's this end of the spectrum. This is kind of like the golden, vision of self-care. And then over here is nothing, right? So we've got the perfect end of the spectrum, and then the other end, which is like we did nothing. And so I always say, like, try to just fall somewhere on the spectrum. So maybe there's like a day where you're like, oh my God, I had all this space and time and I was so good and I did all this stuff and I moved myself closer onto the spectrum over here. And then, maybe the next day comes around, because it always will, and you're like, well, I drank water today, that was it, or I ate a vegetable, or I managed to go on a walk, or I did one thing, or wherever it is. But just make sure you're somewhere on that spectrum. That tends to help, at least, like, that the golden vision is a goal, but that's also in modern life really hard to attain every single day. But it's there, and it's something that we can strive for. And know that, like, just try to land somewhere on that spectrum, and be gentle, be easy with yourself. I think the accountability buddies system is a great way if you've got a girlfriend or a friend or a family member or somebody that's got some, it doesn't even have to be the same goals, but you're just going to kind of check in and, no judgment with each other, but like, just support each other in that, like, yeah, I did this today or this week, and that, good for me. I've been struggling with that. It really does take a village, not just to raise a child, but just to live in this world. And so support each other. Find somebody that you can connect with. I'm sure there's a ton of online forums. You could do it that way. There's lots of ways you can kind of connect with people and hold each other accountable and raise your own vibration by taking care of yourself. So I hope that helps in a little bit of, what to do when you fall off the wagon, the self-care wagon, and how to get yourself back up. Just pick yourself up and start again. It's no big deal. All right. Bye.